So I'm going to share the live. And first of all, I want to thank everyone for donating, that donated to the GoFundMe. You have no idea how that's helped and put me in a situation where instead of being, I've just lost someone. I've just lost the love of my life, right? And it wasn't planned. When we, so I'm going to wait till some people get on. And this is going to be about the GoFundMe and my twin, and how we had bought this farm and how magic happens to get this little farm. It's a tiny little farm. It's no big, it's nothing, needs a lot of work, things like that. And I'm totally grateful. I'm being a caretaker to the land and I feel massive gratitude. But when we knew that we were moving to upstate New York, we had plans, to have a life together, me and my twin. And then he was diagnosed with lymphoma, non-Hodgkin brain cancer. And he had all kinds of other things going on, Lyme disease, other things. And he decided not to go for chemo because he trusted in the universe and divine timing. And we tried for a little while to do it alternatively, but he was too far gone. All these alternative things should have been done a year ago. And it's not like he didn't go to the doctors, and apparently blood tests don't find this, it doesn't show up in blood tests, cancer, not this kind of cancer. So, you gotta look at your people that you love, and they've got neurological changes, like they're no longer reading, they're no longer having a trouble holding a pen, things of that nature. They're having knee pain. Just to do a whole fucking blood panel. Like, don't fuck around, and insist on it. Like, put foot to ass to tell them to push it. He wasn't living with me until September last year, but we were in Union talking, and he was not feeling well, but he couldn't get a proper appointment because ever since COVID, you've got appointments that go back. I mean, you got to wait like 4 months to see someone, a specialist, which is criminal, in my opinion. And ER does the bare minimum, which, that's what they're known for, in terms of blood tests and to see, preventive care shit is not an ER thing, right? Anyway, don't be shy with the medical profession, ever. Don't think that they know more than you, especially around someone you love. It's very important that you learn how to advocate, because when somebody's sick, they can't advocate for themselves. And your person best. And sometimes you're going to have to get in people's faces. I hate to say that, which is what I had to do to get him properly seen. And so take care of your loved ones. When you go into ER, your loved one, you don't have to make a scene. You don't have to be rude about it. But what I'm saying is you're firm, you're stern, you're urgent, and you tell them what you need. And that's exactly why we got the diagnosis, because I was there, standing there saying, I need you to test for this. I need you to test for that. And after going a volley of back and forth, they finally did it, and went further into the diagnosis of the lesion, which another ER hospital had released him. Can you imagine releasing someone with a brain lesion? Like saying, yeah, you're fine, you got a brain lesion, bye. That's why I went with him the next time. I figured, I better be that voice for him. Ultimately, I've had to do that for my son, my mother in hospice care. It doesn't matter if people like you. What matters is that you get the best care for the people you love, all right? Because you're not going to know them. Anyway, I wanted to let you know that I have a GoFundMe to help with his cremation and memorial cost. A lot of you stepped up and were very, very generous in donating to the GoFundMe. And the reason why the GoFundMe had to be set up is because, as I was prefacing, the diagnosis came in April and we were in shock. Or at least I was in shock. I think he was in shock too. And we weren't prepared We weren't prepared for any of this. And of course, I made the decision for him to stay home. I wanted him home so he could get cared for, have beautiful food, beautiful music, beautiful ambiances. I made his bedroom into basically a beautiful little temple, like a Buddhist temple in Nepal, that kind of thing. So because unfortunately he was bedridden, so the place had to be beautiful. It had to be beautiful for him. And it was, he actually loved that bedroom. And other people felt at peace in his bedroom. But we didn't have the preparation that, as you get older, you prepare, you make sure you have this paid for, life insurance, this, and that, and the other. But that wasn't the case. We were just starting our lives. We were just putting things together when this tower moment came, and decisions had to be made on love, not on financial prudence at all. It was about love. And so one of the things that I could not do while he was ill, obviously, was hypnotherapy, because if a client went into a zone and something was happening to my twin, like if he was having a seizure or whatever, and my son called out to me, because we never left him alone, right? My son would be in his room watching him, or keeping him company, or by his room. He would call me, right? So I couldn't do hypnotherapy at the time, because that would mean that I would have to end a session abruptly, which is not good for a client. That you never want to do that. So I had to put hypnotherapy, past life regressions on pause for the entire journey, due to that concern for the client and for me to be free to just move. A reading I could do, because I could always, people understand that, yeah, you got to go. I'll finish the reading in a couple hours or whatever. But so, and I never had to do that, by the way. But hypnotherapy sessions last 2.5 hours. And anything can go wrong in 2.5 hours when someone has brain cancer. So that wasn't going to happen. So now I'm able to take my clients back on for hypnotherapy sessions. I'm able to do readings. I'm able to do all of that. And to be honest with you, I think and I've said this multiple lives now in sharing the process of somebody who's passed that you love, is there's a part of you that is definitely there's a part of me that's having the human experience of grief. And then when every time I settle into my heart, I feel his presence. I hear him. I can access him whenever I want. I can ask any question I want, and he responds. Because he did massive, 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 massive purging and healing while he was paralyzed in bed. And I explained it to him. I said, this is happening to you, not because you're being punished, because that would be the first thought someone has about themselves, but because you have massive shit to look at. And now you're a captive audience. And now you got to look at it, you got to purge it, you got to forgive yourself, and you got to forgive others. And that was the conversation for the 120 days he lived. And that was the mantra: forgive yourself, forgive others, forgive yourself, forgive others, so that you can move into 5D, 6D, so that you can dance in Krishna's gardens. Whatever, however, there are multiple realities that are richer in color and experiences and nectar than this planet. And this planet, unfortunately, is suffering the wounds and egregious behaviors of a small percentage of dark, lustful. When I say lustful, I mean for greed, for avarice, for everything, and to subjugate. We just saw some massive evil MFer have the audacity to be allowed, even though the American people have spoken that they're against it, speak his narcissistic truth, and being clapped, applauded. We must be concerned. So advocating for a loved one as they're sick, guess who's sick now? America is sick. America has a cancer. And we as the people need to start advocating in the ER room, okay? And let them know that this can't work. It's not self-sustaining. That's the message for you. The message is also to thank you for helping me on the GoFundMe. I cannot tell you how odd and grateful, because I've been talking about community for years. And they're about to pull the plug on TikTok, right? And Instagram is part of the same meta machine that we've hate. But this community of amazing women, mostly women, I'm just going to be straight up, out of 25 donors, I have had 25 beautiful donors. 2 were men, the rest were women. It says a lot to me. Some people donated $20. Some people donated $500. It didn't matter the sum. What mattered was the heart. And they were all from my community that I built. And these are all women that are incredibly loving and generous. And I knew that before this GoFundMe. But amazing women that are actually finding their voice. We have like this beautiful, precious group that we have. And if you want to donate money to the GoFundMe, because unfortunately I still need help, unfortunately, because I still have to like navigate back into the world of work after he died July 19th. But, you know, duty calls, you know what I mean? I have clients who've waited. I have clients who think that they want to give me some time. And to be honest with you, at this point, I really need to focus on other people's pain so I can help myself overcome my own. And I've always done it like that. So sometimes helping someone else find clarity is healing to the healing facilitator. So don't think you're protecting me by not connecting with me if you want to have a reading. And of course, we're going to do the book of beautiful healers. I just found this incredible man who wrote about how the brain on the masculine, which again is something that we females really have to learn. But we do multitask. We can do all kinds of shit in a dime, like at a flash of lightning. But apparently, the masculine brain, the psychology, the hormones, the biology of the masculine brain takes a long. It's almost like a snail going from right to left and left to right, whereas a woman can go really fast. And so the masculine can't access his emotional context to the speed that the feminine wants, and sees his silence as boredom or not being engaged. The silence is that the masculine is trying to go from right to left and left to right, trying to figure out what makes sense, the logical aspect, and how to emotionally tap into what that means to the feminine. I thought that was incredible. And an incredible share. And so we as the feminine have to sit in some patience and allow the masculine to travel to his emotional cortex, if you will, I guess, to find the words, to tap into those emotions. I think that when someone knows they're dying, whether they're feminine or masculine, these filtering systems start collapsing. And they're able to move into their emotional component to share with you a lot of truths they could not share when they were right as rain, meaning healthy, physically healthy and powerful, which to me is really sad, you know. It's sad because as he lost his power to talk, he got really emotional. Yeah, how true that is. I get so flustered, but I know patience is a big lesson for me, for all of us, because as feminines, we are so used to talking to our girlfriends who can travel with us emotionally, articulating these emotions as we're meeting them in our mind, you know, like we're traveling at the speed of light in our emotional world. And we're able to express it and articulate all of it, really complex emotions, easily, with massive ease. And the average masculine brain can't do that. They actually have, it's almost like they have to open the moat. They got to like lower the bridge of the castle, and then you have to cross the moat, and then you have to go all the way to the top of the spear, you know, the top of the castle tower, if you will. And all of that takes maybe 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes, whereas a feminine would have just leapt into the top of the castle, whatever, tower, within seconds. And I wish that was taught to us in school. Like, that's the kind of biology women and men need to learn when they're teenagers in school, not how to dissect a frog. Who gives a fuck? How in the hell is it? If you've ever dissected a frog, did it help you? Because I remember doing that in Hong Kong. And I was terrified because all the other schools had never done it. I was terrified. It made me sick. Did you ever learn anything from that in terms of, did it help you moving forward in your life? I've never had to dissect a frog, and it never saved my life to do it again. So some of these classes are so stupid. It's fucking amazing to me. However, a class on how the masculine and feminine human brain works, and to train that to a 14, 15-year-old would be much more valuable. Don't you think? I think so. Where the whole 6 weeks is about the human brain. And hormonally how it works, and then all of these components from psychologists, neurologists, and so forth. That would be fucking amazing. That would be a class I'd want to take now as an adult. Let's put it that way. That would be amazing. But stupidity is by design, taught in class. The concept of comparative religion and comparative literature is very, very important to the human mind, to learn discernment, to learn what makes sense and what doesn't. And also, when you teach someone how to think, they learn how to not gaslight and second guess what they know is true, because they've developed the muscle of thinking things through and comparing concepts and philosophies and so forth. So at the age of 14, when I was a kid, I was in a boarding school in Switzerland at the age of 10. At 14, I'll never forget this because I couldn't wait to take their classes. They were learning Latin, Greece, ancient Greece, and they were for the process of translating texts on their own, by the way, just on the side note, that was the purpose, because they were going to learn ancient philosophy written in Latin and Greek, okay? Philosophy from the great philosophers. And so they were learning these dead languages, quote unquote, because they wanted these kids, 14 years old, kid you not, how to read the actual text in its original language. That was it. Because there's an essence to Latin. There's an essence, there's a vibration to these languages and nuances of meaning that you can't get when you translate it. There are nuances of meanings that are completely lost in poetry that's translated from its original language to present, to whatever language you're reading it in. That's common sense. We know that to be true, right? So we're not educating our populace to think by design. Now, you've heard that before, but now you know why philosophy is so important. If you're going to teach religion, which the Bible belters, the Bible thumpers, that really don't even fucking know the Bible, the irony of ironies, right? They would know the Bible if you actually gave them the Dead Sea Scroll, if you gave them the Ethiopian Bible, from what I've heard. Rachel was mentioning that yesterday, is the is the real thing. If you really want to know Jesus and God, you'd think that you'd be hell-bent on finding all the information to find out about Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and Yeshua, right? If you really, 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 really loved these people that once walked the planet, you'd want to know everything about them, right? Unearth everything about them. Clearly, that's not the agenda, is it? So anyway, they want to teach the Bible in all of the schools. And as I've mentioned before, if you're going to teach the Bible, teach all the holy books, Torah, Buddhism, the Vedas. Yeah, you want to teach. You want to program and brainwash, then yeah, let's do that. And it doesn't matter which book, by the way. Any book that is the only book is an agenda of control. When you put forth the 5, 6 holy books of our collective memory that we remember, because they're books that are lost in time, that were holy as well. There were names of people that walked this planet that were avatars and sages that we've long forgotten, that walked the earth when Lemuria was thriving, when Atlantis was thriving, and so forth. Let's not forget, okay? So religion is a funny thing in that there are religions we have long forgotten that we used to embrace in our past lives. We keep forgetting these simple things. That's why the concept and belief of reincarnation is so dangerous to the fundamental egoic collective that wants to control us using different forms of control, and using holy books to do it, things of that nature, and to do it for their own agendas. Because once you can understand, you've been here and you've been all races, all religions, you've experienced all genders, all forms of life, and you continue. Sometimes you have to have 1,000 incarnations to hammer out the same problem. Once you understand that, right? Because the ego is such a massive filtering system that's densely part of three-dimensional construct, which is very dense. Marry that with the infrastructure created by the 1% for minimum 2,000 years. With the onset of how they created this orthodox religion, basically bastardizing everything that was said that was worthy of keeping. And to the point where it was buried in urns and vases all over the mountains of Egypt and Palestine. And just fucking the Essenes were like, holy shit, we got to hide these precious words, these precious scriptures, or else they will be destroyed by the powers that be. I mean, imagine what was going on. And people put themselves in situations to protect these manuscripts from being lost to us in this generation right now. And that's basically what I mean by advocating when you walk into ER. We are in an ER moment. We have not been fully diagnosed yet because we haven't done all the tests. But then again, we haven't demanded all the tests from the powers that be. And they'll deny all the tests. Well, that will also red flag it for us, because you see, when they refuse to do things we ask them collectively to do, and they still refuse, spitting in our faces like we'll just call security and have you removed from this space, which is what they're doing with protesters, by the way. Then you know that you are in the wrong hospital, right? In other words, this is the wrong system. It isn't there to help you. It's there to subjugate your voice. It's there to make you afraid to rise and to speak your voice and to demand. And so voting and also learning how to write bills, learning how is that done? Because I don't know. I actually don't know. But one of the bills we should have is a bill that is against racism. Also, we should have bills that open up to the fact that social media is off. It is not the power. It is not the business of governments to tell us what social media, as long as they don't target to harm people or to subjugate children and women, which, is easily done. As long as any app is just giving people the freedom to have a community to speak, which is why my GoFundMe has been, I've been blown away by its success, right? But the GoFundMe that we need to create for our communities is the fact that we need to put a bill that, 55% of the wealthiest in the nation need to be taxed 55%. And that money needs to be dispersed in concrete checks to the populace. Distribution of wealth has been a discussion for years, and it needs to be put in action. There's no reason why people should be poor. There's no reason why women right now are not going to eat for a couple days because they want to make sure that there's enough toast and jam, if they're lucky to have jam, and peanut butter for their kids. And for the next 2 to 3 days until they get a paycheck, they will not eat. There's no reason for that. There's no reason why that's acceptable. And yet that's happening. That's an ER moment, right? And we love this country, don't we not? We live in it. And so we need to be strong enough to put something together. To put something together that's going to heal this country. And so we need to do all the tests, right? All the tests. What are the tests? The tests are senators. What are they taking money from AIPAC? Are they taking money from any lobbyist? Not just AIPAC, by the way. Any lobbyist, any pharma, any corporation. Lobbyists should be put out of work this year. Lobbyists should be against the law to lobby. The money you get should be from people like you and me when you go out and you promote yourself for office, right? But money from a lobbyist, yeah, if you're making $250,000 as a senator, let's just say, I'm just going to throw out that sum, That's about all you should be making, unless you're investing in stocks on your own dime. But you're certainly not you should not be getting other checks from different groups, corporations, right? You should not be getting 100K from this group, 100K from Bayer, 100K from Johnson and Johnson. That should not be happening. That should be against the law. It's un-American. It's bribery. It's bribery. Let's be honest. They're being bribed. And it's a criminal act. And so that's the ER moment we need to have. Because once the senators no longer have this enticement, because it takes a very intense person to say no to that shit. I keep always thinking of Yeshua, aka Jesus, kicking the merchants' tables. Why? Because he said, you are not representing the people. You are representing your agendas, your monies, your merchant, your trading. And he kicked the tables of coin. What's the difference between that image and what's happening with our senators getting paid all kinds of perks and bullshit to not represent us? That's the ER moment we're at. We are sitting, waiting to be seen. We know our loved one is sick. It's called America. We don't know quite what's going on, and we don't really have the solution, but we know it's wrong, and we need to make massive changes. And so the hospital is the current system we have. And if it doesn't work, then what do? We move into other solutions that are not anything else but envisioning and meditating and moving and speaking out and writing vlogs and writing blogs and doing all kinds of shit to talk about it. But the lack of urgency that I'm seeing is really concerning me, because I don't see urgency. I almost see a people that is exhausted beyond exhaustion. The COVID lockdown kicked the shit out of the planet. It did. It kicked the shit out of certain states in America, worse than others. You can look at the fucking results when you go to LA County, California. And as an example of a state that got its ass kicked by this horrible, I think the worst governor we've ever had in California. The worst. So the urgency that would come from an ER visit, right, is what I want you to look at. I want you to look at this moment in time in history. This voting, this campaigning, helping the third party. I hope to God you're not voting for fucking Kamala Harris. Because if you don't know who Margaret Thatcher is, I suggest you look up what she did to the Irish. Because Kamala Harris is no different. We need to stop thinking that because a person is a woman and is a brown woman or any race, polka dot woman, purple woman, that she is one of us, that she cares about our needs. She doesn't. She doesn't. And Trump is definitely not the answer either. At all. So what are the answers? What is the ER moment? And how are you going to reframe the face of the Senate? OAC is on my shit list. Roe versus Wade should have never happened. And once I watched the movie Handmaid's Tale, let me tell you something. I won't be here. But I'm concerned that a Handmaid's Tale could happen in 20 to 30 years if we're not careful. I keep talking about 5D. Just visualize 5D. And believe me, I believe in what I say. But what these movies and these books all talk about, from Gattaca to Brave New World to 1984 to Soylent Green, are something in the spiritual universe that has to be shown. In other words, the spiritual laws are very simple. If you're going to fuck people over, you got to show them how you're going to fuck them over. And then you're good. Because if they consent by saying and doing nothing, it's a consent. In other words, not doing anything is a form of consent. Does that make sense? And it's a spiritual law. universal law. That and I'm not the only one that's come up with this. Is talked about, makes absolute sense to me. So these futures, possible futures, because the Akashic Records has hundreds of paths that we can take. Many of us will veer into 5D planet Earth. Many of us will take that path, don't get me wrong. But many who are harmed by rhetoric and propaganda will veer off into the paths of these titles I've just mentioned. And they will be part of our lineages from this incarnation and past incarnation, and they will be lost in these worlds because they don't know enough. And so the awakening of the consciousness of our brothers and sisters is upon our shoulders. So when you start not believing in your power, you dim your light, which prevents the 100 monkey theory from happening, whereby other people in your vicinity, in your auric vicinity, will wake up. You'll never meet them, but they'll wake up. Just like some of you woke up. Some of you literally just boom, woke up, boom. And some of you have told me, I woke up February 21st, 2019. You actually remember the date, some of you. It's like a switch got lit, boom. And this happens when people like us walk the planet, and our energy is like a quartz crystal. It ignites people's consciousness. So if you stop believing in that moment where you're in ER, the end result of the diagnosis is for all of us to agree that something is radically wrong. There's a massive illness in our country, and we have to heal it however we can, with as much grace and as much self-love. Self-love is going to be a very big part of your success to help the collective move past this sense of despair that if they vote for that they only can vote for either Democrat or Republican. That is despair. Okay? And despair is quite often hidden behind the veils of cynicism. So it looks like a cynical person that's just swaggering around. They're in fucking despair and they're scared as fuck. But they play off like they're cynical. Like they don't care. Like, yeah, that's just how it is. Is it really how it is? Is it really how it is? Because this planet once was what you and I all dream about. This planet was in 560 consciousness with ease until the final fall with Atlantis. Okay? So it's not like we haven't done this before. It's just that we've been told by the spiritual community, there are various parts, and some of them don't mean any harm by it, by the way, just to be clear, by saying that's the polarity of this planet. And I say bullshit. That's not it. It's what we've been told through propaganda, brainwashing, and subjugation to believe this. Can you imagine being a slave, a Roman slave, your entire life, and thinking that is all you could ever be and all you'll ever be, and this is it? Shackled or branded? This was also happening during the Roman Empire. We all know about African slaves, but I'm going to talk about that. Can you imagine? And so that kind of reality, from that to being a soldier and not questioning what wars you were being sent to, right? Because you were a soldier, it was the 15th century or the 12th century or whatever century. And if you question why you were in that battlefield, they didn't take it kindly, did they? So throughout our incarnations, we have been taught to do what we're told to do without questioning much. And it's created in us, in these 3D brains, a sort of apathy. And when we see people like Che Guevara or different people like that come out of the woodwork, Martin Luther King, beautiful soul, Gandhi, Malcolm X, learned that racism was not the key to this whole problem when he went to Mecca. He said, one of the things he said was, when I went to Mecca, I realized that my Muslim brothers and sisters also had blonde hair and blue eyes. Yeah, dude, it's not the problem. The problem's not the problem you thought it was. The problem is that there are people that will take whatever Achilles heel you have and use it against you again and again. So once you know what the problem is, which is what happened with my twin, we realize you have brain cancer. Okay. And then we can make a choice whether to go and do, chemo or not. And so sometimes some things need to collapse, for the higher good. Some things need to end. Some realities need to end. And so when we vote third party, right? When we vote something else, when we vote for a new solution to our healing as a collective, some things will end for new things to be birthed, new relationships, new transformations. I'm still with my twin. The country will still be America. But all of the things that no longer, in other words, my twin was in a body that no longer worked. It was paralyzed. Our country is paralyzed. We have a paralyzed nation of people afraid to speak. We're paralyzed. And that needs to end. And we are at the crossroad of the ER moment to advocate for our loving country and our loving brothers and sisters who have no voice because right now they're homeless. They're just trying to fucking figure out where to get, yes, the next can of beer, because you can't do this shit fucking sober, my friends, or a sandwich, or water, just water. So we have to be the voice of the hundreds of thousands of homeless people and vets that were betrayed, where they're not being taken care of. And of course, that would create mental illness when you're betrayed. Does that create depression? I don't like that word mental illness because there's nothing mentally ill or out of context. Somebody dies, you're depressed, normal. You're homeless, you're depressed, normal. Normal reaction to a bad situation. Our country is sick. We're in ER right now. We better fucking vote with our fucking hearts and not with our monkey mind, because right now what I'm seeing collectively is everyone is voting and thinking about how to heal this country with their monkey mind, which is a fear-filled fucking chaotic chamber of nonsensical bullshit. You better sit in your heart and vote with your heart. Your heart. Because if you don't, 2025, you think we've had a hard time since 2020 and the lockdown? Watch what plays out. And I'm never a doomsday person because many of us will leave the country. I'm being very straight up. Many Americans are leaving. I can't blame them, and I certainly won't call them cowards. They're leaving. They're like, fuck this. Fuck it. I'll come back when the shit settles. Could be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Look at the harm that's been done so far. And we're still trying to get off one knee. You guys better take this shit seriously. Because right now you're in ER and you can sit and let these people push you around and tell you that it'll be your turn in 12 hours while your person is gasping next to you. Or you can get up and advocate. You better advocate. Use your voice. Start making phone calls. You want to have a fight with someone? This is a good fight to have. This is a good fight. Fights about cheating, low paying job, shit like that. None of that's going to change because people need to do what they need to do to distract. Cheating is a form of distraction. Paying someone low wages is a form of controlling someone with the distraction of not being paid enough. The fact that Walmart has people on on welfare it's mind blowing to me. Every single person, I've gone to Walmart a few times because I had to. There was no other fucking store. And I walk in thinking to myself, every single person here is probably on some level of food stamps. That breaks my heart. That an American corporation is allowed to do that kind of fucking evil. But let's not tax 55% on the wealthiest. Let's not do that. Let's just put them on welfare. The ones that work. So, my friends, I want you to know that I love you. I want to thank you for your support. I really do. And unfortunately, I have a community. I'm fortunate to have an amazing community of sisters, amazing goddesses and high priestesses. And I am very, very, I feel so blessed. I feel hugged by you guys. But we need our government to start helping the people who need help. The Family Leave Act, for example, should be something the government pays, not, you know what I'm saying? And it should be a set amount of $3,000 to $4,000. It should be like, whatever, what do you make to survive? Oh, I make $5,000. Okay, well, that's what you're getting every month until your person is well. I'm sorry, you might think this is Pollyanna. No, it's not. It's fairness, because there are countries that do this, just so you know. There are countries that literally do what I just said. And our country has been beating socialism out of us, making us fear-filled. And my mother would have never been alive without socialized medicine. She would have been dead at 30. So I've lived it. I know the difference. And I've seen my family suffer by being under this system, and my family be saved under the French system and so forth. And what I find ignorant about some people who live here, who call themselves American patriots, well, then go back there. No, let's create it here. Let's create abundance for everyone right fucking here. So people's American dream isn't to leave America now, because you see, that's the new dream. Let's make it here. So that if a woman gives birth to a child, she doesn't have 6 weeks, she has 3 months. They won't even let a puppy leave its mother before 8 to 12 weeks. But we have forced women to leave their infants at 2 weeks, 6 weeks. That's pure evil, and there's nothing family values in that system. Let's bring those values into our world, into this country. And we're not going to be able to do it if we allow lobbyists to still survive after 2024. That should be against the law. It should be banned. I'm sorry. Shut those businesses down. Be an attorney, be a paralegal, find another fucking motive of making money. No senator, no one in political office should be allowed to be influenced by anyone else but the American people. And if you think I'm wrong, then I don't know how you were educated. I don't know how you were educated. I don't know where you got your sense of justice. I'd love to do that class as an adult. Yeah, we were talking about that. You're so strong, Tony. I admire you. Oh, you're strong. Yeah, see, you're very strong. So any questions or comments, feel free. It's some comments in this live. Bobby Kennedy wants to get rid of lobbying. Yeah, that's right. Bobby Kennedy wants to get rid of lobbying. I've been following Bobby Kennedy for a long, since 1998. So I'm not new to Bobby Kennedy at all, okay? And they are Irish, as you well know. And these Irish people suffered. There's something about the Irish. That there's something about it. We all choose to incarnate into different bloodlines. I have no Irish blood in me whatsoever, by the way, on the side. None at all. But my twin was pure Irish. And there's something about the fact that they've never forgot their suffering. And it created in them, many of them, not all of them, because a lot of them, no offense, have been Americanized, But many of them, it created incredible, deep compassion and sweetness in their hearts to help others. Not all of them, because not everyone's perfect, but many of them. And so Bobby Kennedy wants to eradicate lobbyists because he sees what I saw this when I was 18. He wants to make the whole government finance on blockchain so we can see where the money's going and how it's being spent. There was a time in the 80s where they were getting away with selling toilet seats for $16,000. You don't think none of these purchasing directors, you don't think these people noticed this was happening? Come on. This was in the 70s and 80s and 90s. There was no computer. They were seeing the fucking invoices coming in for a toilet seat. They saw it and they paid it. Why? Because they were probably getting their palms greased. For every toilet seat of 16 grand, maybe they were getting 1,000. Let's be honest. So all of this shit that he wants to do is pure transparency. He wants to make everything transparent and free. It's like he's a Marcus Aurelius, okay? He wants to come in and right the wrongs. And then drop his body eventually, because he's in his 70s. Eventually he'll drop his body. But he wants to do the right thing. And he's not pandering. He's not wearing a keffir. He's not pandering to anyone. But he's aware that we have some situations where apartheid is being supported by our own country. And after Jim Crow, how could you not believe that's possible? I'm sorry. If you're an American and if you don't know about Jim Crow and what it meant, then you better learn. When Black History Month comes on February, if you're white, Asian, turn on the fucking channel, or Hispanic, turn on the damn channel and watch it. Watch it the whole month. It's going to shock the fuck out of you. Because that shouldn't have never happened. Never happened. And it did. It was law. It was American law. So if a country has the ability to do that, imagine. Imagine. So we have to heal this country. And we have to heal it by removing, if you have a bad doctor, right? If you fire your doctor or you fire your attorney, you get a new one. You get someone who listens, right? Who advocates for you, who gets you, who listens. Isn't that how it's done? Would you stay with a doctor who you're saying, my knee hurts, and they're, oh, you're fine, it's just arthritis, but it turns out you have a tumor? Right? But they gaslight you? I had a doctor who I fired on the spot. She was so clueless. She said to me, yeah, and they were having a panic attack, and they were saying they were having a heart attack, and I didn't believe them, and they just, they died in my office. I was like, what? She just said that to me? Like, does she realize what I fired? It's like, you don't even listen to people who really are sick, so my point is, we're in a situation where this is fucking real. And we've got until October to really surround ourselves with a force of power to topple the system so that Kennedy can walk in. Yeah, I'm going to vote for Kennedy. Because I've heard too many politicians promise and promise and promise shit. And like Jill Stein worries me. She's pandering too much. And I don't trust her. And Trump is dangerous. He doesn't have anything to lose. And people who have nothing to lose are very, very dangerous, because if he walks into the office, right, he's going in to make as many billions or trillions as possible. This will be a business transaction for him, like before, because it was. Okay? It is the same in UK corrupt. They're representing the wealthy. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it is. There's a lot of that going on. So that's why people like me need a GoFundMe, because if something happens, there's no protection. The government's not going to help me. The government, it's not the government that's going to help me. It's going to be the people. And that's why I donate, as well. And I donate to all kinds of, actually, usually more likely a GoFundMe, because it goes directly to a person who needs it. Or I also donate to people on the streets, because I know it's going directly in their hands. No filtering system, no, none of that. It goes directly to the person who you see needs it, And we're in that kind of system right now. And I'm not saying that's not beautiful, it is, but it's, when you hear of countries in Europe who literally send some families like $600 upon the baby's birth, $600, and then they send you all a basket, like a big box of all these beautiful clothes and things that will help you with your newborn. And then we'll give you a stipend of between $300 to $600 a month for the first 3 years of your baby. When you hear countries doing that to help women, quite often single women, having their babies, or young couples or older couples, having their babies, and that's what the government is doing, because they really do have family values. Because see, that's the mark of a family value. You actually invest in a new life being born in your country. You just do. If you're a good government, if you're a loving government, You do that. And if somebody dies and somebody is dying, you do the same. You realize that the family is taking care of their loved ones. They're not in the system. They're at home and bringing the best food and all that. Yeah, you pay them. You send them money to help them so it doesn't harm them from losing their place of they can pay their rent or they can pay their mortgage, whatever the hell the situation is. Because if a government won't do that, then why are we being taxed? You see? And if a government refuses to do that, then what is a government for? What is its purpose? To build roads? Fuck, the Romans did it. Yeah, I know they tax people, but other civilizations did it. They taxed no one. Yeah, I mean, we have roads that are so fucking old. Somebody was building them. So it's like we need to stop thinking of the system as it is, as a normal, that's just how it is. No, it's not, because if you look at different countries, it's completely different in all these different countries, completely different. They approach a new birth as a celebration and they back it up with a fucking monthly check. I'm sorry. To me, that's abundance. That's a society that wants their people to thrive. Our system right now does not want you to thrive. They want you on cortisol. They want you on a second or third job. They want you to, I remember, and this is the 80s, okay? I had a friend who was working as a paralegal, and at night she was working. She had a 10-year-old boy. She was a single mom. Not her fault. Guy was a pig and left her, okay? So she was a single mom paralegal, and then at night worked at Starbucks 5 days a week. Can you imagine? So she could have insurance, health insurance for her and her son. That's not okay. She didn't do it for money, for the health insurance. That is not okay. Health insurance should not look like this. Should not look like this. You can look at expats, Americans reporting back from Greece, France, Costa Rica. Just look. Just take your time and search Americans in Europe. What are they saying about the difference of cost of health insurance and this and that and the other? Fucking shocking. We deserve better as Americans. My father fought in World War II on the European stage, got the Purple Heart and the Silver Star. Okay? So I'm half American, but I'm also half French. And these two realities of these different philosophies that these two different countries have given me the ability to voice my heartbreak over the lack of generosity that this government has for its own people and its priority. If I had $200 right now and that's all I had, and a friend came to me and said, I really need $200, I'd say, geez, I'll figure out how to, it's all I got. Do you need rent? No, I just don't have any food. Oh, okay. Let me get a knapsack. Let me get you all kinds of food from my pantry. Do you like this? Do you like that? I've done it before. Right? Because that $200 that I've got is to help me pay my rent or whatever, right? So I can't give it to her, but I can give her that. This country did not do that for us. We had our last $200 billion, let's just say, and they sent it to other foreign countries instead of taking care of business here. They could still airlift food to the Ukraine, for example. They certainly didn't need to help the white and blue flags to get any more arms than they did. That was not necessary. That's so unnecessary what they did. They took billions and billions of dollars that could have saved us overnight. Within a month, all of us would have been right as rain. We would have no homeless people in a month. And if you don't believe me, in 3 weeks, they locked down the entire nation for COVID. They did it in 3 weeks. So when they want to do something, boy, they got urgency and they know how to organize. And so same. They could have taken those billions and helped everybody that was making under 100K a year overnight. They chose not to. They chose to send that money. So they're not prioritizing us in their care. We're not being cared for. We're not being nurtured. We're not being held in their arms and told it's going to be okay. We got you. I got you. They're not doing that. They're not wrapping us in the American flag with love. There's a lot of weird, insidious punishments that are happening from the lack of their focusing their attention on the American people. And so we are in ER. And we're sitting down and we're waiting for the doctors, for the triage to come in, right? And the triage for this country is there's a heart attack. In other words, the heart is broken. The American people's heart is broken. And that's a good start. Because from that, you can fill it up with love, and courage, and desire to move forward. My twin, Ray, my twin is with me every step of the way. I feel his energy massively. Because the broken body needed to be shed for him to find his full power again. There are broken things in this country we need to burn, to shed, not burn, no, to destroy. I didn't mean it that way. I have to be careful what I say. But it needs to be shed. And the transformation needs to happen. And all that this country can be is so at our fingertips. It can be exactly what it was born to be, but never was really fully formed. You can't subjugate a race of people and be a great country. I'm sorry. Let's be honest. But we are at a place where we are now with the Hopi prophecies, the rainbow children. We are the rainbow children. This was prophesied on American soil by the Hopi Indians. We are the rainbow children. I am awed at the beauty and kindness of the people in upstate New York. Blown the fuck away. Shook to my very heart at the kindness and beauty and compassion of the upstate New Yorkers. Shook. And that's what's making me do this talk. Because I want this country to heal. And it has never healed its beginnings. It has never healed its traumas. It has never asked for forgiveness for the fuckery it did to many people. From the indigenous people to the people brought on ships forcibly, to how the Irish was treated upon coming here, to how there was anti-Semitic beliefs, anti-Arab, which is Semitic, by the way, just for the purpose of education here. Fuck. There's been a lot of fuckery that needs to be healed. But we can't heal it unless we are a thriving country. When we are in survival mode, which we all are, that cortisol precludes us from thriving to the full extent of our birthright to then right the wrongs and heal this country. You see, we've always been at an imbalance. And so now, 2024, which is, by the way, 8 in Kabbalah numerology, it's paying karma. This year has shook the fuck out of me because I knew that this was the turning point. This is the pivot you've been waiting for. You better do something, and you better be smart about it. And smart in your heart chakra, not your monkey mind. Next year is 2025, which is 9, which is God's number. There's massive co-creation that can happen. But with all things, yin and yang, good or bad, dark or light, what will we co-create? What seeds we plant this year will determine the fruits of our labor moving forward, starting with 2025. Yeah. Urgency. We're at the ER. And we're waiting. And then the doctor's coming, and we have to fucking advocate the fuck out of our healing. Healing for our beloveds. Right now, you might think, I'm not ready. I'm not strong enough. I don't know what to say. Don't think of what to say. Eckhart Tolle, I love him, and I'm going to leave you with this. Eckhart Tolle said that quite often he'll sit and pause because he doesn't know what he's going to say because he hasn't got the download yet. It's not a race. Do you think I planned what I was going to say? This was going to be a GoFundMe thank you talk, and it turned into this. because I allowed my heart to open up to the universe, to be a conduit to this talk. Listen and wait and pause and breathe and speak from your heart and ask the angels whatever you believe in to be, to give, to allow your throat chakra to be a servant to the universe, to right the wrongs. And the words will come. They always do. And Eckhart Tolle talks about that. He pauses, he waits, and then it comes. And it always does. He's never not had a thing to say. Let me see here. Good morning, beautiful souls. Tony sending you so much love and light. Thank you. I'm going to upload this live. I've uploaded other lives, by the way. There's so much we have to do. We have to, if you want to thrive in this country, if you want to have a country you're proud of, you better start rolling up your sleeves, because it's not gonna create itself. It has to be created. And remember, your forefathers lost their shit on a tea tax and went into action. So I'm just saying, that was just for fucking tea. It's why we drink coffee as a nation, for the most part. So what I would say to you is, you have everything you need. You are born in this particular timeline on this land because that was something you said yes to. Don't forget, you're here for a reason. And for some of you, you will be launched into other countries because it'll be your fate. It'll be where you are most needed. But for some of you, you'll be here and you'll need to roll up your sleeve and build a country you're proud of. And it's completely there for the taking. We can do it. And we can have a country that is kind, generous, abundant, fair, honest to a fault, meaning, yeah, we fucked up, and owns it. And all of these people can get their pink slip, right? And new people can come into power and help us and manage the power in a beautiful way, in a very healthy way. All right, my love. Sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. Be well.